Ever since the kids got their wish and we bought a 2-story house, we've been updating it by replacing various parts. The entryway chandelier is one that we've wanted to ditch from day one, but struggled with how we were going to pull it off. Whether it was an 18-foot ladder or wobbly interior scaffolding unit that we rented from Home Depot, we've been unsuccessful at replacing the lights. There are two important details to the story. The ceiling is 21 feet tall, and I'm too cheap and prideful to pay a professional to do it for me. Then it hit me, we should come at the problem from a different angle. Literally. Instead of use a tool to put me in the place to wire and install the chandelier, why don't we bring the chandelier to us? Not sure why it took so long to figure this out, but if you have a chandelier hanging from a high ceiling, it is going to have a long cord, and if you have a second story, you already have a built-in scaffolding called the second floor. Using a shop broom, I was able to hook the cord and draw it towards me. With the light in my hand, I could now move it onto a table and prepare open wire surgery. To keep tension off the area I'd be cutting into, I took some yarn and tied it to a link from the chain on one end and the door hinge on the other. This made cutting, stripping, soldering, and lastly heat shrinking a far easier task, as I could measure twice and cut once. There's plenty of videos on how to solder and use heat shrink tubing, so I won't bore you with a play-by-play there. But I do want to share a handful of tips for any of those that might want to try this at home. 1. Get a second person to grab the chandelier when it gets close. 2. It would be best to replace the old chandelier with one of equal or less weight. It would really stink to go through all the effort of splicing in the new light to have it crash down later. 3. Tying off the cord to a nearby object made splicing the cables possible. Without doing it this way, it would have been more difficult. There's a fair amount of tension on the chain even when the chandelier is on the table. 4. To make sure you install the new light at the right height. For us, we wanted the bottom of the light to be about the same height as the other light, but because this light is much taller, we ended up cutting about 20 inches of chain before splicing the wires and completing the project. So that's it. If you're in a similar situation and don't want to bother with shaky ladders and scaffolding, look into this option of bringing the light to you and completing the work on your second floor. As mentioned earlier, we've linked all of these items in the video description below. Which, by the way, if you click one of those links and buy something, shortly after I might get a small kickback. Also, there's a new way to help small creators as myself via the Super Thanks button below the video. And of course it wouldn't be a video from the internet if I didn't ask for a subscribe. At least my pleading was at the end of the video, so you didn't have to sit through that before getting the information you came for. Regardless of what you may or may not do, I appreciate your time. Feel free to drop a comment below if you have any questions. I rarely let one go without a response.